Well, yeah, today I want us to consider um, moment. I want us to consider annual GDP. So, first, just as usual, you can see that I'm projecting an analysis that I'd already tried. Reason why I have to do that is because there is a lot that goes on with the data. At times when you access the data from the website, a number of times it's not in the format that is ready for analysis. And so for that reason, there is need to clean the data, because a number of times we have leading and trailing spaces that interfere with the analysis, and particularly that was the case with the GDP data, since the entries are huge, and for that reason it contains commas as well. So first let's see what we have for let's see what we have in terms of the data that is for the public debt, data for the for annual gross product, annual, that is GDP, domestic product, annual gross domestic product. So let's see, I want to open the data set without really necessarily going to fetch it, because I already have it. It's data that I already have in my machine. So probably what I need to do is just to open and we see what it is. So as it loads, let's see. It load. No, Biopics I'm not using today. Biopics is data for another session. So I'm not really interested in Biopics data. I want data for annual gross domestic product. So you know it's opening. Let's see. I want to close this so that let's see. Yeah, I'm closing that to give me room for this. Yeah. So annual GDP. I want us to see the columns, how they appear, and that will be useful in terms of seeing how the data looks like. Just a moment, let it load. And our lab is ready, as we have seen. Yeah, these are the data for these are the data that we are going to use as downloaded from the central bank website. So I wanted to take it first, then I continue. Yes. Now, to see clearly, the data that we have here spans from 2000. Spans from 2000. To be much clearer. Yeah, it spans from 2000. Perhaps let me just to make it, so let me zoom. Yeah. So you clearly see that the data that we have spans from the year 2000, from the year 2000 to the year 2023. So this gives us, there's a column for the annual GDP, no, nominal GDP prices in million Kenyan shillings. So the entries that we have here, these are millions, in millions, they're in millions. So these are millions. And the annual GDP growth percentage is also recorded in this column. This is annual GDP growth percentage recorded here. And then we have real GDP prices in millions as well, Kenya shillings millions. So now, that's the data that we have, and straight away, I want to move to, let me move to the lab, yeah, because that's what we have. So I'll refresh the kernel first, so that we start on a clean page, and yeah, so it's restarting. Once it does, it will let me know. Yeah, it has. So the next thing that I need to do is to run. So I'm running the libraries. Once I'm done running the libraries, then I shall have set the right environment for my analysis. So I wait for the libraries to be imported. As I said, the purpose of this class is not to teach Python. And for that reason, I'm not going to spend time in explaining what everything means, but I'll be taking my time discussing the output, what the output is, what it means for us, but about the steps on how I do the coding or how I do data analysis on this platform. That is a class of its own, and one who is interested in learning data analysis using Python can reach out to me so that we arrange on how to go about that. Okay, that being said, we can see it's still busy, so there's little I can do. It has to finish up with setting up the libraries. Once it does that, then I'll be able to start picking my data to see, to upload it. Once I do, then I'll be able to start exploring the data and see what I need to adjust and what I need not to adjust. But then there was a lot of, just as I've said, before I got here, there's a lot of data cleaning that I've already done. So basically, you'll see that when I import the data, at first when I imported the data, the columns for the nominal GDP prices and the column for the real GDP prices were objects. They were not floats. The only float we had was annual GDP growth percentage. But because the entries there are values that are numerical, then that just means that the data, as we see here, you can see that this column here for the data, we don't have these commas. Comma does not appear in this column, annual GDP growth percentage, but it appears in really GDP prices because these are huge values, these ones. But now, the Python environment treats this character comma as a string, and that's why it reads it as an object when we were starting the analysis. So first, I needed to take it from, I needed to take the data from, say, convert column to float. So this command was to convert that. So let's see. Let me run this and see what it gives us. So I'm running this. Let's see what we get by running it. Let's see what we get by running it. Let's see what we get by running it. So it's not told us anything in the, because the command here specified that it should check if that file exists, if it exists in the location that I've specified, or else if it doesn't exist, then it should have printed for me file not found. But probably that's not the case, so it means that my file is somewhere. So the first check that I'm going to do on that is this. I will do, the first thing I'll do, yes, the first thing I'll do is to do a df. That's df for the data frame, because I said df is equal to pd.read excel. So I'll do df head, and see what that gives. Df head. So a df head gives us that. So that is the value, those are the values that we get when you do a df head. So it gives us basically what is coming from, it's giving us basically what is coming from the Excel sheet. So you see that here, nominal GDP prices are this, and we are told they're in Kenya in millions. And we see these characters, the commas. Those characters makes this environment, Python environment, to treat the nominal GDP prices column as a string, and it also treats this as a string. So we can further find out that by doing another one. So for us to see, so if I do df.info, that means I want to check what is there so that I know what the nature or type of the data. So once I do that, I get the type as you see. Now here we see that now nominal GDP prices are shown as object. They are shown as object, and annual GDP growth is shown as float. So that is rightly placed. But real GDP prices are also shown as objects, but we can see their values. The only mistake here is that the commas should be removed. So I want to see the consequence of not having, I want to show the consequence of having these commas, those characters in the data set, in the data frame. So let's see. I want to get df describe. I want to get the descriptive statistics of the data frame. So I do df describe. Once I do df describe and I run, then you see it only picks up the annual GDP growth, because that is the only column that shows a float. So the rest are not recognized owing to the strings, the commas that we have. So to navigate about that, so that when I do df describe, then I'm able to get the descriptive statistics for annual GDP growth, real GDP prices, and nominal GDP prices. Then first I need to convert column to float. So what I'm going to do, I'll just move it up there, and then I first let me just take it up immediately after this. This is the code. So that's the code I want. So immediately this is what we saw, and we see we still have these characters here, the commas. So this code is supposed to eliminate that. I'll run it. Yeah, because it's eliminating it for the columns of nominal GDP prices and real GDP prices. So definitely that's what it's done. And if you check here, after running the code, this is what I see. Now I see that my year is okay. Nominal GDP prices is float, okay. Annual GDP growth percentage is okay, float. Real GDP prices is also okay. So what that means is that my data is now ready, and I can now do df info to see what it is. So if I do df info, then we see that just as I've confirmed there, everything has changed to float. Then it means I can now do DF describe, and instead of having just annual GDP growth percentage, the real GDP prices and nominal GDP prices will also come along. So let me do that, because now I'll remove the strings. So you see all of them have come. And perhaps I should do DF head, so that you see that now I have a new data set that does not have the strings. So I'll do it here. So let me do DF head, so that we see what my data frame now looks like in the data frame. What my data frame now looks like. So I'll be doing DF. I want the first 20 observations as shown in the Excel sheet. So that's what there we are. So we can clearly see that now that particular code has transformed. It has transformed this into floats. So you don't see the string like this one's 10. This was 10,399. Now this one is just now what it is as it is. So that is what the code has achieved, and now that has allowed us now to get some descriptives about say the nominal GDP prices, annual GDP growth, real GDP prices. So I just want to go quickly over the statistics. Now, my duty is to give the statistic and give an interpretation of the same. But then again, it's upon consumers of these statistics to make sense out of it in terms of relating it to the policy environment and global trends. So what I'm having here is that I have nominal GDP price. The mean of that is this. So we get about now this value here. It may be huge as it is, but that's the value. So mean is this. That's the mean, and the standard. And now that is the mean, and the standard deviation is that. So in my report, I'll be doing a report which I'll be posting on my website, and that report will be available for consumption. So in that, I'll be detailing what each and every element of this means to us. So very fast, what then I need to do? Okay, just a minute as I work it out. So that is that. Now that's the data as we see. So I'll get back to this. Let me just leave this for now, but I'll come back and talk about the descriptive statistics that are given. But then, because we see it better when it's drawn, I want to get to the next step that will do just that. I want to get to the next step that will do just that. So, yes. So here, the next one, create a line plot. So I want already, you can see these are things that I already looked at. And that's why you see that. So running this cell, running this code here, should create a line plot. And the line plot is that of nominal GDP prices and real GDP prices. So that will be against the year. So let's see, let me run it. So that is it. I've already run. Now this is what we have. So this is what it means. we have just look at it. I'm trying to figure out the next what that should. So we have the line. We can see the green line is the real GDP. So, and the blue line, this is the nominal GDP. Just a moment. Yes. Now, so that's what we see, and in the descriptive statistics, that is what we expected. But now the curve brings it out much more clearly. So I want to make meaning out of the curve, the trend, as you see. Out of the trend, as you see, I want to make meaning out of it. So we see that from yeah, I think I'm fixing that. Okay, so we see that from the year 2000, there is from that particular curve, from the year 2000, what we see is a kind of nominal GDP that coincides with real GDP. And then as we move along, they start to depart. So we have a case where nominal GDP is greater than real GDP up to this point. And then the trajectory changes so that real GDP gets way above the nominal GDP, and it stays there for a while up to some year where they intersect again. So probably what we need just then to understand what it means for a nominal GDP and real GDP to be. So what we have is that real GDP is adjusted for inflation, while nominal GDP is not. So that's the difference here. So real GDP, this one already is adjusted for inflation, this that you see. So it's already taken care of inflation, the real GDP. But nominal GDP, the blue line, is not adjusted for inflation. So if real GDP is higher than nominal GDP, it suggests that the economy is experiencing deflation. Yes. So if real GDP, this is higher than nominal GDP, then that suggests that the economy is experiencing deflation. Deflation is a general decline in price levels, and this situation has several economic impact or effects on the economy. So we see that was the case. Where real GDP is at the nominal. So we see that was the case from about, say, this must be around 2008, 2007, but we can see it. So from that particular point, we saw real GDP getting higher than the nominal. So we are expecting that from this point up to about this point where we are having intersection, this is where it was corrected. But then we would expect that during this period from about 2008 up to around 2016, there is a suggestion of a decline in price levels from the data. And that's the reality that we can see. So deflationary pressures, these are some of the effects that may bring. One, it is lower consumer spending. Falling prices may cause consumers to delay purchases, expecting even lower prices in the future. This can slow down economic activity. Now, again, we also have lower business revenues. Companies earn less from sales due to declining prices, which may reduce profits and investment. Then we also have rising debt burden. When prices fall, the real value of debt increases. Borrowers, including businesses and households, may struggle to repay loans, leading to defaults. So those are some of the characteristics that we saw between this time and that time. Then that may also have impact on employment and wages. Potential job losses. Businesses may cut costs by reducing wages or laying off workers, leading to higher unemployment. Or, since wages do not easily decrease, firms may struggle with fixed labor costs, worsening profitability. So, the impact on, it may also have impact on effect on interest rate limitations. So if real GDP is growing, while nominal GDP remains low due to deflation, central banks may have little room to reduce interest rates further to stimulate the economy. And this may lead the economy into what we refer to as liquidity trap risks. Low nominal GDP growth can lead to very low interest rates, where monetary policy loses effectiveness in boosting demand. So when this is happening, it means, and again, it will be interesting to see the borrowing pattern, whether at this particular period, what was the strategy or the policy of the government? Was the government borrowing more from domestically? Was the government borrowing more domestically or externally? So we'll see when a time comes to compare, to make the comparisons. We'll bring out, the data will bring out that. But for now, that's what we have. Then we also have export advantage. A lower price level can make a country's goods and services more competitive internationally, therefore boosting exports. But then, deflation can reduce the cost of imported goods, improving trade balance if exports rise proportionally. So, in effect, a higher real GDP compared to nominal GDP is typically a sign of deflation, which can have mixed effects. While it may benefit exports and improve purchasing power, it also poses risks such as lower business revenues, rising debt burdens, and unemployment. So to avoid economic stagnation, policymakers must implement measures to stabilize prices and support demand. Now we get to the next. So I think that I've explained. But then what happens here? Now we see here, from this point, we see now we are having a nominal GDP being higher. So this is the desired trend, and that desired trend, I think we see it from 2016. Once we populate the data, I'll be able to get the exact points where these are, because there are how many data points? I think they're just this. Yeah. So that is that. So that is that. Now next, I want to get to the main business of this presentation before I get into other aspects of it. So first, I want to, we have the column of annual GDP growth. So I want to run this so that I see what that gives. So it's a bar chart. So that's it. So that's the bar chart. And we see that this definitely just giving us Kenya's annual GDP growth rate from 2000 up to about 2023. And probably we see a high GDP growth rate in 2010. Probably that's the highest, at about 8. So in 2010, let's see, 2010, where's 2010 here? It's here. Yeah, we see it's about 8.1. So that is the highest ever GDP growth rate recorded in the country since 2000, going by the data from 2000 up to where we are. And the closest we ever got, again, the closest we ever got to that, again, perhaps what I need to do is to populate more data here so that it also assists me to see. So I want say 25. See, plus 25 if we ever have them. Yeah, they're here. No, it's not 25, but now I have the entire data. So we see 8.1, that is that. That was the highest growth rate recorded in 2021, in 2010. Now the highest growth rate again that was, the highest growth rate again that has been recorded in the history of the country was followed by 2021, which was 7.6. So 2021, that is the time when President Uhuru, with his deputy, the current President Ruto, this is when they were just signing off for election. But we can see that the growth rate posted was 7.6. Now these are figures, and figures don't lie. This is data, they don't lie. So we have had a lot of narrations about how badly so and so manage the economy or something like that. But then now here we have data to speak for itself. Though the growth rate for 2022 was significantly reduced to about 4.9, and probably that can be associated with the fact that the environment, political environment, where people are heading to campaigns, and that uncertainty of the outcome of the campaigns. So the analysts will delve more into the meaning of the data as I've just given, it. So that's what we see from the trend here. So in 2021, the highest ever recorded annual GDP growth rate was in 2020, and the second highest ever recorded was 2021. And it should be said that by 2023, that is by 2023, yeah, let's talk about 2023. By 2023, the annual GDP growth rate was now 5.6. So we can see there is an effort because in 2022 we were heading to election, and that would explain why this is this. But then we see that the economy peaked immediately, so that we are seeing an improvement of 0.7%. So from 4.9 to 5.6. So that is the first year of the current government. The first year of the current government had posted this improvement, an improvement of about 0.7. That is from 4.9% to 5.6. So that's data speaking, and data does not lie, and that's the reality. And what I needed to bring to our attention is that by 2021, prior to election, we had the second highest recorded annual GDP growth in the country. The highest ever recorded was recorded in 2010, just when President Kibaki was signing off. At this particular time, he had left about two years. So let's see, 2010 it was 8.1, but then 2011 it went to 5.1, and then 2012 it went to 4.6. 2013 it moved to 3.8. Now let's see, could it mean that when one is signing off, he does not, a lot may be happening, because now we are wondering why why this is isolated, because from 2009 it moved from 2.7 to 8.1. That is a growth rate. Then it went again on a declining trend. So, but that's data. That's what the data tells us. So we have that. I think I done describe If I'd done describe, then I don't need this, I don't need this. So the next thing that I need to do, having seen the trend in terms of, the bar chart, this bar chart here, we have seen the trend in terms of the bar chart, that is Kenya's annual GDP growth rate from 2000 to 2023. That's the data that we have. So the next thing that I need to do here is now to predict future GDP for 2020 for the years from 2024 to 2030. Now, this is possible because after we have seen the trend, then we just need to fit, to do what we refer to as a line of best fit. And by fitting that line, it will be able to give us what we expect, averagely what we expect the GDP to look like. So I'll do that. And you can see that here we have train a simple regression model. And so then we predict. So here we are already on some elements of machine learning. So, and this is what it gives me. So Kenya's GDP projections are this. Kenya's GDP projections are this. So from 2024 to 2030. So these projections we see the projections are, okay, if we look at the trend, let's see. Actual GDP is the one in blue. See, these are the actual GDP, the way they grew. And it's also interesting, the actual GDP between 2000 up to 2005, the slope, if you look at this slope, it's weak. That means the rate of change is small. And that trend, it kind of starts to pick up from 2005 and up to now, up to about 2009. From 2005 to up to about 2009, then it starts to peak. And from 2009, it peaked from here, around 2009. It peaked, and then now it was on the right trajectory. So it's just been moving as such. And that's why if we extend this line, because this is where we find the data. So one would imagine that would treat this particular part as an outlier, something of the sort, and also that bit as an outlier. But then if you tend to make this curve straight as such, then that's what you see. Let me see if I can get another tool here to assist us, to assist me in big pen. Yeah, that is okay. Big pen. Let's wait it to load. Let's wait for the pen to load so that we see what we have. It's loading. It's loading. Yeah, it's loaded. And so that's going to be useful in demonstrating that which I was trying to show you. So let me bring the pen here so that it does not interfere with us. Yeah, so here I have. You need a pen, you need this. Okay, let me pick this. So let's see. So this is the diagram, as you see, but then we will be tempted to see that if you do the line, it will go like that. Yeah, because we see a trend from here. If one was to draw a straight line, bring this freehand, but if I used a ruler, then it will be clear. Okay, let me just rub that. Just rub that and try to make it look better. So having that, having that, if I'm to draw, then probably what I have is this. Sorry. But then the trend can be seen. The trend is clear. The trend is clear. What I needed is that if I'm to join, because the projected values are the ones given in red. So if I'm to join this as such, you see. So I would expect, I'm just saying that averagely we expect this to be the line of best fit. That's where we base our projections. So that is that up to there, and probably what one may what one may want to know is what the values are, what values are projected for specific periods. So if one was to read, then we see about 1.4, and you see 1 raised to power 7 here. So as much as I'm saying 1.4, it should be seen that it is times 10 raised to power 7. So if I'm to be here, then you see it would be estimated as such. So I'm going to I want it printed. Just a minute. Let me just remove that for a minute. So here we see okay, predict future values. So that one, we have this, what actual versus predicted. So when it be predicted, okay. So I want to try this. See what I just want to see something I want to check. So I copy this. Probably copy. Copied. I paste it here. And I'm saying print. I want to ask it to print. If that command will give me what I want. So print. Yeah. So it's printed for us the projected values, because we said that we are projecting from 2024 to 2030. So we can see that 2024 will be about, and remember these are in millions, 2024 will be this, that is 130,39539. That is the expected, that is the projected GDP for 2024. About 130. So this is this should be because they're in millions, it should be converted as such. But we see that trend should continue up to the point where, because it's a trajectory that we have seen, it's moving as just a moment, let me bring this again. Let me bring the pen again. The pen is here. So we see that. Sorry. Okay. We see that from for 2030. What we have is about this value here. So it's 166,303.58 point that. That is for 2030. But then we see it growing, it's growing. We start from 13, it grow 2025, it's still at 13, but a higher 13. Then 2026, it gets to 14. 2027, we expect it to start to be about to still be at about 14, heading to 15. Then 2028, it's supposed to be about 15.4, and then 15.4, then when we get to 2029, it's about 160, then it gets to 166 at the end. So that's what this is showing. And with that, I have shown what I meant to show. I meant just to give a descriptive overview of the data. And that is it for today. I'll consider other aspects later. But for now, that's all I needed to do, to see what the future holds for us in terms of our GDP growth. So that is that, and you should follow through so that you get, if you need to get a report, a written report, then you can WhatsApp me, because my link is available, or you can visit my website and you'll find I've deposited the report in PDF form. So up to there, I stop, and I'll be live again in the course of the day, and I'll be coming in with analysis of the interest rates.